to get your fix.
Are you ready? Are you ready to get your fix? Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready to get your fix? Are you ready? Are you ready to get your fix? Are you ready to get your fix?
With the Wicks here on this beautiful Tuesday, January 18th, 2022, and welcome to the show, whether that be on Facebook or on YouTube. If you're on YouTube, hit that subscribe button. Facebook, hit that like button or whatever you want to do on that platform. It seems to be where the audience is mostly for me at this point in time. Maybe move over to YouTube a little bit more if you guys are watching, but who gives a shit, right? We're here. We're doing the show every single day, Monday through Friday at 6 p.m. Central Time. I love it. Hopefully you guys do as well. Get a couple good pops out of people. That's awesome. I love to hear it. That's the goal, baby. That is the goal. So last night we had the final, game of Super Wild Card Weekend take place, and gotta tell you, it still doesn't feel like playoff football. Hopefully the divisional round is a little bit better. You could definitely tell that, look, the bad teams, made their way out of the playoffs real fucking quickly, all right? Mainly before the first half was over for, I'd say, the majority of the games that actually happened. But the divisional round is officially set. It's ready to rock and roll. We'll dive into that a little bit today briefly. But we got to talk about last night's matchup. The Manning cast was phenomenal. The third guest that I forgot with, I don't know how, was Russell Wilson. The first two happened to be Larry Fitzgerald, who was at the game as well as other celebrities. Will Ferrell was there and other people as well. And Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson with his fucking T-Rex in his office. That was, he was electrifying. The most electrifying entertainer in sports industry or whatever at one point. The Rock, WWE, we all get it. He is entertaining. He's electrifying. It was awesome. I love the Manning cast. We'll talk about that as well. And then with that third guest, Russell Wilson, man, he's giving me these weird fucking vibes. Feels a lot like that of this offseason. Don't really know where his future is kind of headed, where it's going to be landing. But we'll dive into that a little bit, give you my opinion, my thoughts, even though it doesn't mean anything, to be completely honest, okay? This is just my brain kind of going out and looking at all the possibilities and what could happen next year, and where's Russell Wilson basically going to end up. We'll kind of dive into that as well. But like I said, we got to talk about last night's brutal beatdown by the Rams to the Arizona Cardinals. So, are you ready to get your fix? So last night, obviously, was the last game, Monday Night Football, 7:15. Rams taking on the Cardinals at SoFi Stadium, where this year's Super Bowl will be taking place. I believe it's Super Bowl 55. I think I'm right on that one. Could be wrong. Okay. Those Roman numerals, once they get, it's tough to figure out. Okay. I'm not that fucking smart. All right. I'm just going to tell you that right then and there. Plus, could we just get the fucking numbers instead of the Roman numerals? I know the Roman numerals look fancy and stuff like that, but come on. We need to fucking, just tell me it's 55 or it's 56. I don't want to see Super Bowl LV. That's obviously 55, I think. Okay, I hope I'm right on that one. So maybe I'm a little bit more smarter than that. But Rams Cardinals, man, I don't know what the fuck happened. But the Rams basically won the game during the first half. Okay, 21-0 lead going into the second half. The Rams controlled the entirety of this one. Makes you wonder what the fuck happened with the Cardinals. Start the season off, I believe, 7-0 or 8-0. Lose to the Green Bay Packers. I called that one. Knew that was going to happen weeks before the game even took place. I said, hold up. The Cardinals, yeah, they're on this roll, but once they hit Green Bay, once they hit Aaron Rodgers, good fucking luck, Green Bay is the team to beat, and I still believe that wholeheartedly in the playoffs, even though they have a pretty decent matchup. We'll get to that later, but I think John said it best. Guest host on Fantasy or Football Friday Talk with me and Logan as well. He's been on the show quite a bit. We debuted his or we played his song Polite, New, and Improved, or I don't know how you want to say improved. It's not improved, okay? It's just new. It's very, very brand new on Spotify, on iTunes, Apple Music, whatever the fuck the case is. Go take a gander. YouTube, okay? Polite by Y-4 means young forever if you don't know what that means. But I think he said it best when earlier in the season. It didn't happen, okay, when he said that, but I think that it definitely happened these past few weeks where John said, look, the Cardinals they're one of those teams where something's got to give. Okay, they're going to hit that point in the season where all of a sudden they're going to start losing ball games. He was right. Okay? They lost to the Lions a couple weeks ago. They lost to the Seattle Seahawks the last game of the season. And then they come in to wild card weekend facing a divisional rival, the Los Angeles Rams. They played each other twice in the year. 1-1 combined record between the both of them. The Rams completely, stumped them. Okay, that second game, that second meeting they had, the Rams absolutely took control, ended up getting the dub. I can't remember the score off the top of my head. But going into this game, I said, look, I got the Cardinals. The Cardinals are going to win this game because I just, something about that Rams team that if Matthew Stafford, even though the defense, Matthew Stafford can play not great football and they can still win, right? But how many times can that happen where all of a sudden they break, right? Like Matthew Stafford, 3-4 consecutive games, he's thrown a couple picks. They've been kind of down in the dumps. They find a way to win basically off of their defense. Okay, their defense is the reason why they have found a way to win ball games, even though they probably shouldn't because of the poor play by Matthew Stafford. So, okay, something's got to break if it's bending, right? It's gonna break at some point. Matthew Stafford played phenomenal football last night. Couldn't have asked for a better outing from Matthew Stafford and the Rams. Stafford 17 of 13, or 13 of 17. Flip-flop those numbers around. 17 attempts he had passing. Ridiculously low. Okay, you'd expect with their type of offense, Van Jefferson, Cooper Kupp, Odell Beckham Jr., Tyler Higbee, they're going to be airing the ball out a lot more than they are going to be hitting the run game. You thought. All right, we all thought. Open that game up. Let's see Cooper Kupp get 100-plus yards, run all over or pass all over the Cardinals. Wasn't the case. But Matthew Stafford balled out 13 of 17, 202 yards, 2 touchdowns passing, had a rushing touchdown as well with 22 yards to go along with that. But their run game, man, that was hard to stop. Cam Akers he's phenomenal, guys. Coming off an Achilles injury that he suffered during training camp, his season probably was said to be over. More than likely, that is the case for a lot of athletes when they tear their Achilles. Comes back the last week of the season. He's on a very, very limited base of getting snaps out there. Doesn't do all that well. Well, they just wanted to see. They wanted to get a feel of how well can Cam Akers perform. Well, he sent Buda Baker to the hospital last night. T's and P's to him. I seen that he's just fine and dandy out there. That was a big fucking, it looked like a train crash, and Cam Akers coming one way, Buda coming the other, and Buda, flat out got knocked out, okay? Cam Akers bullied him. Even at one point after doing that, he didn't realize Buda was hurt and just kind of like, what's up? Walked away, basically, and I was like, geez, okay, well, he's kind of unconscious at the point. At this moment, why'd you do that? I think he quickly learned, I didn't know he was hurt. Okay, well, let's go over to the stretcher real quick, and sorry about that, buddy. Good luck. recovering. Buda Baker's completely fine. It was a scary moment. At first, you'd think the worst. Obviously, when something like that happens and some person is just laying on the ground unconscious, not really moving, it looks like, oh shit. All right, well, his career might be over. It could possibly be over. Everyone thinks the worst. But only concussion. Just got knocked out. Okay, Wicks player. Phenomenal player. Ran down DK Metcalf last year on that one spectacular play. Don't know how that was. Or I think it was, Metcalf ran down Buda. Never mind. Take that off. But, last night it was just completely dominating Rams team. Like, offensive, defensively, they completely dominated the Arizona Cardinals. And it makes you wonder, what the fuck happened? And I think you got to go, even though right during the game, like third quarter, fourth quarter, when the start of the fourth quarter hit, I said, man, Kyler's choking. I mean, he made a couple fucking Carson Wentz throws, okay? He's down, backed up against his own end zone, kind of rolls outside the pocket a little bit. Nobody's open. He has a defender basically right in his face, about to light him up, about to get a safety. And what does he do? He's a little shovel pass up in the air. Okay, nobody really around at that point except for a Rams player who picks it off, takes it in the end zone. How you doing? Keep it moving. Right then and there, I was like, well, Cardinals fucking lost. There's no way they're gonna come back and win this game. But at the same time, I don't think it's completely Kyler's fault. I do believe, however, it's Kyle Shanahan's fault. And I think Dan Orlovsky, he's on NFL Live, and he said this via the Pat McAfee show, where you got to know your opponent when you go to play them. If you know your offensive line cannot block the opponent's defensive line, you got to be creative. Every play should be okay. How do we go away from their offensive line and make sure that their defensive line and make sure that we can have somewhat of a decent blocking scheme so that we have enough time to pass the ball, enough time to run the ball, and that wasn't the case the entire game. Okay, the Cardinals, every time they ran the ball, every single fucking time, they ran it directly up the middle, right into Aaron Donald's face. And didn't fucking work, did it? Absolutely not. They had literally zero opportunities to break one loose. You're not going to break one loose against Aaron Donald when he's fighting the other offensive linemen, pretty much probably spitting in their face saying, y'all suck. Quit running right in my throat because you're not going to get by me, okay? I'm 300 plus pounds. I'm one of the most athletic people on this team. I got a six pack. I mean, come on, dude. What do you want from me? You're not going to run it right up the gut, okay? It's just not going to happen. Arizona decided to not give a shit, all right, and still keep running it up the gut. And guess what happens? Chase Edmonds only ends up with 28 rushing yards. James Conner ends up with 19 rushing yards and their only touchdown of the night, basically because they were right next to the end zone. Then Elijah Benjamin or whatever his name is, 8 yards rushing. Kyler Murray only had 6 yards rushing. Why didn't you use Kyler Murray's talent to your advantage? I mean, you're without DeAndre Hopkins, for fucking sake, for crying out loud. I mean, you have nobody, no decent weapon. I mean, you have you have okay talent on the wide receiver position. Christian Kirk's over there. Zach Ertz is over there, AJ Green's over there. But when you take that superstar out of the mix, you got to be creative. You got to figure things out. You got to roll outside the pocket. You got to take chances. And they could not block the Rams' defensive line to save their lives last night at all. Had no chance. Absolutely no chance. Kyler Murray rolls out on the right. All offensive linemen, the entire offensive line, moved to the left, allowing basically all of the Rams' defenders to come and get right in Kyler Murray's face. He had no time to throw the ball all afternoon, or all evening, basically, at all. Had no chance. The Cardinals literally had no chance from the first snap of the game, from kickoff, basically. They had no shot at winning this ball game because their head coach was too focused on taking chunks of yardage away and marching down the field slowly, methodically, taking time off the clock. It's not going to fucking work. You got to be creative in these situations. It's really tough to stop a Rams defensive line who are poised to stop the run and slow down that quarterback play, basically. And they couldn't get it done. Kyler Murray, at one point in the game, had less passing yards than Odell Beckham Jr. Odell had one pass. Could have been a little bit, more of a bullet, if you will. I mean, that he just fucking lobbed it up. No Arizona Cardinal to be seen for miles, it felt like. I mean, the ball just... Oh, he caught it. Okay, perfect. That's a 40-yard completion from OBJ. OBJ had a better night than Kyler Murray did, in my opinion. OBJ, hey, fuck yeah. Hell of a season, dude. That is awesome. I'm so pumped for you. There's probably a certain fan that's been on the show, a guest host on Football Friday Talk. Probably not so happy. Probably still has some things to say about Odell Beckham Jr. and his time in Cleveland, where he only had 6 touchdowns, where he already has 6 touchdowns with his time with the Los Angeles Rams. The man caught his first career touchdown pass in the playoffs in his career. Okay, congratulations to him. Almost had a touchdown pass. Basically, probably could have. Okay, if no defender would have caught up to the receiver, but. Man, Odell Beckham, 4 catches, 54 yards, and a touchdown. Looked like the Odell Beckham that we all know and love, the superstar. The guy who's going to go out there and he's going to get all these catches. He's going to look good. He's going to play good. And that's exactly what we got last night. The man is, his catch radius, the way he goes up and he attacks the ball. Larry Fitzgerald was talking about that. He's a phenomenal receiver. He was saying he's like the catch radius he has, the way he goes and attacks the ball. Like I just mentioned, that's what Larry was saying. And then right as he was saying that, basically, this is where the touchdown pass or the touchdown catch came from. I mean, Odell was right up against the goal line, or the out-of-bounds line, and literally fucking tiptoey right on the line, okay, right there, with a defender draped over him, went up, got the ball, toes down, how you doing, keep it moving, that's a fucking touchdown, 6 points, put it on the board. The Cardinals just... They had no answer. No answer. It didn't feel like playoff football at all this entire weekend at all. I mean, teams just getting blown out left and right. It just, you could definitely tell they're thinning out the weak, keeping the strong. And these 8 teams are the best 8 teams currently in the NFL. If you disagree, why aren't they in the playoffs still, right? Okay, these teams are. These teams earned their spot. They got the dub. San Fran beat the shit out of the entertainment team. Pumped about that because they're all talk. They're no bite. I'm glad that happened because we don't need to see Jerry World all pumped up. Yeah, we got her done. We got her done. We're going to go down there and, beat Tampa. And next up, basically not going to happen for another 25 years, I hope. Because they're not America's team. Okay, it just they happen to have a fucking star on their helmet. Soon, probably to be changed. Okay, not talking about Dallas, but Washington football team in the nation's capital. Okay, I mean you think they would be America's team, but I'm glad they aren't because they're not that good. Okay, and their old name and stuff like that. So, man, it was a brutal game, brutal game for Kyler Murray. He wasn't ready. The Cardinals weren't ready. The head coach wasn't ready. It's a bummer to have such a great start to your season. Such a great start. Looking like the team to beat, the best team in the NFL. Multiple times I had them number 1 in my power rankings, and they go out and they lay a big fat egg. How you doing? Keep it moving out of the fucking playoffs. They lose to the Rams 34-11, man. I mean... There's nothing. That was just a brutal beatdown. And I had the Cardinals. I went 4-2 on my picks for Super Wildcard Weekend. John and Logan went 3-3. But I would have not. I did not expect that big of a beatdown. I just did not. I had no idea that was going to happen. And now our playoffs are set. But the Manning cast honestly kept me intrigued to the game. Basically, made me want to keep watching because I wanted to hear the conversations that Peyton and Eli were having with Larry Fitzgerald, The Rock, and Russell Wilson. The Rock was fucking electrifying, like I said. I mean, the dude, at one point, took the bottle. I ain't gonna grab the bottle. And he's like, all right, cheers. Slugging some tequila on air, basically. I mean, I don't want to throw this. I mean, it was fucking awesome. He dropped a couple ass on there. I mean, that was badass. This girl, I mean, she's a badass. I mean, I was like, geez, ESPN's probably not going to like this. But, I mean, it is the last Manning cast of the year. Who's going to give a fuck? Nobody, especially when it's The Rock, okay? I mean, you're not going to tell Dwayne what to do, especially when he's the commissioner, or not commissioner, he's an owner or part owner of the XFL, his own football league now, which I can't wait for the return of 2023. Is going to be absolutely phenomenal. Can't wait for that to give, players that normally don't get the chance to perform for an NFL scout or perform and play at the highest level. That league gives them the opportunity to potentially get a look at the NFL, like Taylor Heineke for the Washington football team. He was a backup quarterback, okay, for the St. Louis Battlehawks in the XFL. And now look what he's doing. P.J. Walker, Houston Roughneck, went to Carolina and stuff like that. He did play in the NFL previously before that, so did Taylor, but the XFL gives you that other opportunity and stuff like that. But The Rock, and he was pounding the booze, man. That was fucking awesome. I was glad that happened. Some Terramana, or I don't know how to say it, Terramana, tequila, what? I mean, just kidding. But that was just fucking awesome, electrifying. And Russell Wilson comes on when the Cardinals are getting their ass beat. Unlike the first time where they had an electrifying game, an electrifying ending. Ravens, Raiders, what's going to happen? It ends on a game-winning drive, basically, and they're having fun. They're talking football. They're diving into it. 3 quarterbacks that are basically at the top of their game, or have been at the top of their game, and Eli and Peyton and Russell. But boy, Russell Wilson is kind of making things a little confusing. Okay? Last year there was reports that he might be on his way out. He wanted a trade. He wants out of Seattle. Where's he going? Chicago Bears were on the market, okay. San Francisco 49ers were also one of the other teams, and there were a couple other, teams out there that were like, I mean, Russell looks pretty decent. He'd look pretty good on our team. I mean, we should take a chance. And then that kind of goes away. Him and Pete Carroll, they're just fine. Their relationship is just fine. It's golden, pony boy, all right. Then we go through this whole entire season of just a mess. Just a mess over there in Seattle. Just a bad team. Their defense, I mean, not the greatest. Their offense, not the greatest. Again, DK Metcalf, garbage because he wanted to take a shot at Shannon Sharp. Karma's a bitch, okay? It's going to bite you in the ass, and it did, okay? It bit him right in the ass real good. Tyler Lockett tried to do his thing. Wasn't really happening. They need a tight end over there. They need a better running back room, even though, Chris Carson was hurt the majority of the season. Had a role with Alex Collins. Adrian Peterson came in late in the season. I mean, just there's a lot of things in Seattle that needs to be fixed. And now there are reports where Russell Wilson wants out of Seattle. So I'm starting to think, okay, well, what the fuck's going to happen? Where's it going to go? Is this going to be a trade? What's going on? And then it comes out, he's like, hey, man, I want to win a championship, and I want to do it here. I want to do it in Seattle for the rest of my career. I want to be a Seahawk. So what does this report say that you want out? What the fuck? What are you doing over there? Like, where do you want to go? What's your deal? Okay, you want to be a Seahawk or not? That's what I want to know. Well, I mean, I would like to win a championship here in Seattle, okay? That's what I want to do. All right, sounds good. And now reports are coming out that Russell Wilson wants to not seek a trade, not request a trade, but he wants to weigh his options. He wants to see what's out there, what potentially could happen next year with this offseason. We could see Russell Wilson potentially leaving the Seattle Seahawks and going somewhere else. And I'm all for it. I am all for it. I do think Seattle needs to do some changing, and I think it has to start, not with Russell necessarily, but I think it has to start with Pete Carroll, because if Russell Wilson wants out, There's no way in hell Pete Carroll's going to want to rebuild at 71 years old. Yeah, 71. Take that in mind, okay? The man doesn't look that old, but he is that old. He's not going to want to rebuild at 71 towards the end of his career. He's going to retire soon. He's going to ride off in the sunset. He already has a ring. I mean, Pete's been through it. He's not going to want to rebuild. So that makes you think, well, if Russell's gone, who will they bring in? They're going to have to bring in a veteran, a guy who's been in the league and knows the league and knows how to get to a championship, win a championship. Don't know who that's going to be. Could be Aaron. It's probably not going to be Aaron, more than likely. Okay, I think Aaron would be fit or would fit a lot better in other places and other situations. But you got to start thinking, Russell, I don't think he's going to be a Seattle Seahawk next year. I just don't think so. And if he is, it's probably because they figured out their defense, in which they fired their defensive coordinator. They figured out their run game. They figured out their offensive line because they don't have a good offensive line. And they figured out their head coaching job, their head coach position. Pete Carroll, as much as the guy has been great and done all that, I mean, it might be time to go, okay? Take your gum and take your Hubba Bubba, all right, and go chew it somewhere else, basically, is what I'm saying. Because they haven't been good. They haven't been good since that Super Bowl appearance against the New England Patriots, in which they lost because they chose to pass the ball instead of give it to fucking Marshawn Lynch. I'll never understand that, but hey, pumped up. Brady got his ring that year. Malcolm Butler sealed the fucking deal on the goal line. How you doing? Keep moving. But Russell Wilson could definitely be on the move. Teams, obviously, I'm not really sure. I mean, you got Pittsburgh Steelers. You got the Chicago Bears, in which that was one of his potential landing spots, which, being a Vikings fan, would fucking suck. Okay, we have to deal with Aaron Rodgers. Now we got to deal with Russell. That would absolutely blow. Okay, I would not want to deal with that. But I mean, it is the Chicago Bears. I mean, but they are pretty solid defensively. So offensively, if they just get that little extra kick in the ass, they'll start making some headway, start making some noise. Maybe get back to the playoffs. Stuff like that. So you got to look at them. You got to look at the Denver Broncos. You got to look at the Raiders situation with Derek Carr. Even though I believe, and honestly, truly think that they should stay with Derek Carr. Derek Carr is phenomenal, doesn't get talked about enough. And you got to look at Tennessee. Like, do they want to stick with Ryan Tannehill? Has not really been that great. He has been good, okay? He's been decent. But we've seen with Derrick Henry, granted, they did get the first seed. I'm not taking anything away from that. But without Derrick Henry, it just seemed as if his play style was toned down a little bit. Like, it wasn't the greatest thing out there. So Tennessee could potentially be in the lookout. Doubt that's the case. Okay, I think they're going to continue to roll with Ryan Tannehill, but you got to think that's a hot destination. Okay, Julio Jones, AJ Brown. I mean, they got the pieces over there. Derrick Henry in the backfield. They have everything they need to say, hey, we need a quarterback. Come here. All right. Enough of this Ryan Tannehill. Even though, like I said, not taking anything away from Tannehill, he's looked okay. He's looked pretty solid, but not the greatest. Kind of getting a little stagnant, kind of getting a little complacent. We'll see what happens this weekend, but I mean, there are multiple teams out there that could use a quarterback, a veteran quarterback that, most of these teams are right there. I mean, just so close to breaking into the playoffs, so close to making a Super Bowl run that they're a quarterback away from doing so. And I think Russell Wilson, he's the answer to a lot of teams' questions. The Miami Dolphins could be in for a loop. The Houston Texans, well, I don't know about that job. That you go to the Texans, you gotta good luck, basically. I mean, good fucking luck down there. It's gonna be tough. The Giants, nobody's gonna want to go there, and the only reason you're gonna want to go there is because it's a high market team. It's a high market value. You're gonna get paid a lot. You're gonna be the face of New York, basically. So I don't know how that's gonna work out because the Jets have their guy Zach Wilson. Giants don't have their guy. Don't believe in Daniel Jones. Sorry, that's just my opinion. I think Russell's a lot better quarterback than Daniel Jones. I think there's a good amount of quarterbacks that are a little bit better than Danny Dimes over there, okay? But you got to be ready on the lookout for Russell Wilson. Obviously, it's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen in the next week or two or the months coming. It's going to be right before next season, if anything. Maybe before the draft, maybe right after the draft to kind of weigh his options, see what is the best fit for me, and then possibly get traded if the Seattle Seahawks allow that to happen. But Russell Wilson could be on the move. Who knows? I mean, even the Manicast at the end, he said, "Go Hawks." So, I mean, he's just giving me a headache, basically. I don't know what the hell to expect. Don't know if he wants to be a Seattle. I mean, he probably wants to be a Seahawk for the rest of his career. I mean, who doesn't? I mean, who doesn't want, like, you get drafted by a team, you want to stay on that team for the rest of your career. You don't really want, you want to build a legacy there. And I think that's what he wants to do. But at the same time, it's like, okay, we're not fucking winning. Our defense, garbage. Our offensive line, garbage. We don't have a tight end. Our wide receivers, they're okay, but one of them wants to go make comments about a Hall of Famer, Shannon Sharp, and now he's not doing much. I mean, our running back room is not that great. Can we just, let me weigh my options. Let's see what we got out here. Because I want to go win another ring, and I would like to do that here, but at the same time, shit, I mean, send me somewhere else if they have a chance to win a ring quicker than we do, apparently. So be ready for that. Like I said, not going to happen overnight or the days or weeks or months. It's going to take some time. Well, months probably, obviously, because the draft, I believe, is in April, and then after that. So Russell Wilson could be on the move. So with that being said, the wild card is officially done and over with. We now officially have our matchups for the divisional round of the playoffs. The NFC, we have the Green Bay Packers taking on the San Francisco 49ers. That game is going to be electrifying. That is going to be a very, very fun game to watch at Lambeau on Saturday night, 7:15 Central Time, 8:15 Eastern Standard Time. You get it, okay? 1 degree, so it's going to be probably in the negatives with the wind chill and stuff like that. So you got to think at that point it's going to be a little tough for San Fran, right? But I don't think it's going to be, because I think San Fran is very hard to figure out schematically. Because, for instance, Deebo Samuel, you never know where he's going to line up. He could line up spread, okay? He could be the number one wide receiver. He could line up in the slot. He could line up at tight end. He could line up at running back. He could line up at quarterback. I mean, the dude can literally do it all. And that's why he was voted to the All-Pro first-team offense, right? Because he can literally do it all. He was phenomenal both at the running back position and the wide receiver position. So he's able to go out there and do everything. So I think that's going to be a tough thing. Even though and when it's 1 degree, Jimmy Garoppolo, his finger, right? Or his thumb, he has something torn in there, some cartilage torn in there. That's going to be a little iffy for him as well. Okay, so the cold might affect that, might affect his grip on the ball. Probably have some fucking athletic tape to help that. I don't know. I'm not an athletic trainer, okay. But you got to expect that might happen. So that means San Fran's going to run the ball. They're going to run it all night long, and they're going to use Deebo Samuel to their advantage. They're going to get George Kittle on those little slant routes, little curl routes, little post, skinny post routes and stuff like that. They're going to utilize that. And I think Green Bay is going to be ready for that. Don't get me wrong, because I think Green Bay is still the toughest team to beat, even though we haven't gotten really to see them yet in the playoffs. I still believe going to Lambeau, playing through Lambeau, is going to be much, much more tougher than playing through Raymond James Stadium or playing through Nissan Stadium or playing through Arrowhead. I mean, it's just there's a lot of factors that play into Lambeau. I mean, it's called a fucking frozen tundra for a reason. It's cold, especially at this time, until they get to the Super Bowl, and that's where they're really going to shine. Green Bay's getting all their players. That's going to be an electrifying game. I think Green Bay can get it done, but the last 2 years, 2 years ago, couldn't stop the run. They lost in the NFC Championship to the Niners. Last year, they get to the NFC Championship. They can stop the run. They sort of had a little, sort of was able to get a little bit more of a grip on that, hold or stop or slow down the run a little bit, but they still couldn't do it fully. This year, I think they have the formula to do so, and I don't see them losing in the divisional round. I see them making and winning this game, making their way to the NFC Championship game. So that'll be awesome to watch. The other game in the NFC, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Rams. Look, they ain't going to go against my boy Brady in this one, all right? Matthew Stafford, I think he's phenomenal, but he's got his playoff win, right? Okay, he's 0-3 in the playoffs previously with the Detroit Lions, gets a win. How you doing? He's partying a little, probably too much, having one hell of a time. Yeah, I got a playoff win. Now he's got to go down to Tampa and play Brady, an experienced veteran in the last 20 playoff games, is 17-3. So that's going to be a fun game as well, because I think Tampa's defense, Rams' defense are both really, really solid, and their offenses can both be hit or miss. So that's going to be awesome. On this side of things, Tennessee Titans, Cincinnati Bengals, that is going to be electrifying on itself. What Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase have been able to do, CJ Uzama, their tight end has been phenomenal. T. Higgins has been phenomenal. Their defense has played absolutely bonkers, okay, this year. The Tennessee Titans, though, they're getting Derrick Henry back, and it's going to be interesting to see how well he performs, how much he gets to, or how many snaps he gets throughout the entire game. That's going to be a big factor. Julio Jones is set to play as well. A.J. Brown's going to be there still, and they're flying around, man. They're one of the most underrated football teams in the NFL, and it's just crazy to think that they got the number 1 seed, home field advantage, and it starts with the Bengals to potentially move their way to the AFC Championship. And then finally, the Chiefs, the Bills, a rematch of last year's AFC Championship matchup where Stephon Diggs, like we said yesterday, after the game, had a stand on the field. I ain't going to do this again. Nope, we're going to win this guy. We're going to win this time. Next time we get here, ain't losing. And they're back at Arrowhead, okay? It's going to be a fun game. Both of these offenses electrifying. Can put up points in a blink of an eye. We've seen that with the Steelers-Chiefs game, with the Chiefs go down early, 7-0, and all of a sudden just come marching in, fucking start putting points on the board like it's nobody's business. And the Buffalo fucking Bills' first 7 drives resulted in a touchdown. Okay, electrifying offenses for both of them. Both of their defenses have been playing phenomenal football. The number 1 defense for the Bills. The Chiefs have to be up there somewhere. They were garbage earlier in the year, but they've made up some serious ground and have been playing phenomenal football as well. So that is going to be one hell of a game. So Saturday, I believe Saturday's matchup is going to be... Jeez, now I'm going to have to go fucking find this. I know Green Bay and San Fran play the 7:15 game on Saturday night. I'm going to go look at my sports update because I think he posted. There we go. So Saturday, we have the Bengals Titans, okay, right here. They will be playing at 3:30 Central Time, 4:30 Eastern Standard Time on CBS. The 49ers and the Packers will be playing at 7:15 Central Time, 8:15 Eastern Standard Time on Fox. Those games will be Saturday. On Sunday, we have the Rams against the Bucks at 2 o'clock. Okay, they moved up the games, 2 o'clock Central Time, 3 o'clock Eastern Standard Time on NBC. And then the Bills Chiefs at 5:30 Central Time, 6:30 Eastern Standard Time on CBS. So, going to be fun, a fun weekend, a fun slate of games. We're going to dive into these games a little bit more as the week goes on because more stories are going to pop up, more injury updates, more what the fuck's going to happen here is going to happen. So we're going to have to bring that to you guys as well. But that is all I have for you guys today. Go enjoy the rest of your night. Man in the Arena, Tom Brady, episode 10, I believe, is dropping, or it is already out on ESPN+. Go watch that. I still have to catch up. I have to watch the last week's episode and then tonight's episode at some point. We'll get to it. But yeah, go enjoy the rest of your night. Do whatever the hell you had planned and make some delicious supper if you haven't already. I mean, geez, pizza, tacos, I mean, whatever sounds great, you go do that, all right? We'll see you guys back here tomorrow at 6 p.m. Central Time, like always, on Facebook and YouTube. Do me a favor, hit the like on Facebook, hit the subscribe button on YouTube, and you guys just got your fix with the Wicks. Peace out and have a great one, folks.